The Republican Party is the pro-America party.
As opposed to the Democratic Party, which is the anti-America party. That's really a strange proposition considering this year you actually flipped a person in the Senate, I believe, from Democrat to Republican. So did that person go from being completely anti-America to suddenly pro-America? Did his opinions just change 180 degrees?
President Trump is the pro-America candidate. This election is about who can preserve the values, principles, and institutions that make America great.
Well, first we'd have to establish that America is great, and I'm afraid that's where we end.
Don't believe me? Look at what's happening in American cities. Cities all run by Democrats. Crime, violence, and mob rule.
It's almost as if cities with high poor populations are more likely to elect Democrats, and they are more likely to be violent.
Democrats refuse to denounce the mob.
The vast majority of the mob are all right people, but just like every other mob in human history, some people in that mob are not all right people. Imagine, for example, that we have a police department, and most of the workers at that police department are good people, but a couple of them are bad. Now, I don't know about you, but to me, it looks like both sides are pointing the finger and pointing at the bad apples on the other side. So, doesn't it seem just a little bit hypocritical for you to be calling some people rioters based on a small subsection of their people turning violent the same way police do?
And their response to the chaos? Defund the police.
You see, you're trying to solve anti-police brutality riots by adding in more police. Do you see how that wouldn't work?
Defund Border Patrol.
No, we want to get rid of ICE.
And defund our military.
I mean, our military has a budget bigger than the next 10 countries combined. Don't you think that's a bit much?
And while they're doing all this, they're also trying to take away your guns.
Well, it's pretty simple, isn't it? If the civilians don't have guns and are not a threat to the police, then the police will not feel threatened by the civilians and they won't shoot the black people 7 times in the back.
Look at the positions they've taken in the past few months. Democrats won't let you go to church.
I actually agree with you there. I'm a eugenicist, you see. So if the idiots go visit church and get coronavirus, I'll be happy.
But they'll let you protest.
Outdoors. Everything is safer outdoors. Not completely safe, which is why I don't go out, but safer.
Democrats won't let you go to work.
Not if your business is unessential, like, for example, going to the RNC.
But they'll let you riot.
Lies.
Democrats won't let you go to school.
They will, but online.
But they'll let you go loot.
If looting was real, the free market would have created a looting industry by now.
President Trump has fought against each of their crazy ideas.
Only crazy if you strawman them, unlike your policies, which are crazy even when we steelman them.
He's taken on the swamp. All of the swamp.
He's establishing donors as cabinet members, and a lot of these cabinet members actually have a direct financial incentive to ensure the failure of their own departments because they actually own stakes in their private competitors' companies.
The Democrats, the press, and the Never-Trumpers. And when you take on the swamp fights back.
Until it apparently ultimately engulfs and absorbs you, and then we realize Trump is the swamp.
They tried the Russia hoax.
We already know that Russia tried to interfere with our elections. We already know that either Trump or one of his lackeys tried to elicit help from Russia. It's not a hoax by any stretch of the imagination.
The Mueller investigation and the fake impeachment.
Yeah, we know 100% that Trump violated the U.S. Constitution, Unfortunately, the Founding Fathers made it so that the president would be tried by his own minions, many of whom have never valued reason or evidence.
But in spite of this unbelievable opposition, this president has done what he said he would do.
Like making Mexico pay for the wall, like locking up Hillary Clinton, like repealing Obamacare, like getting us out of the Middle East.
Taxes cut, regulations reduced.
Yay for the mega corporations, which can pay less taxes, and they don't need to bother with cleaning up the environment or taking care of its workers. Ew. Instead, they can focus on earning more money.
Economy growing, lowest unemployment in 50 years.
Thanks to Obama's momentum.
Out of the Iran deal.
Why is trying to start World War III a good thing?
Embassy in Jerusalem.
Yeah, fuck them Palestinians for being not rich enough.
Hostages home from North Korea, a new USMCA agreement.
Which economists agree will have a negligible impact when compared to NAFTA.
And of course, he's building the wall.
Only 5 miles of new wall where there had previously been no barriers have actually been constructed so far.
And rebuilding our economy as we speak.
Trump can't really take credit for that now, can he? I mean, Congress has been in deadlock since May because he can't get Mitch McConnell to collaborate on another aid package for the American people.
I love the president's intensity and his willingness to fight every day in Washington for our families.
The rest of this is a personal anecdote and sucking Trump's cock.
I'm not an actor.
I don't care what the fuck you are.
He understands that they are the people who make this country run. They clean, they cook, they build, they drive, they deliver.
If you agree with me that the workers make most of the important contributions, then why don't you join with me in our quest to make sure that the workers collectively own the means of production instead of the elite capitalists?
He told me, Herschel,
I don't fucking care.
just because someone loves and respects the flag, our national anthem, and our country, doesn't mean they don't care about social justice.
No, it just makes them an idiot.
I care about all those things. So does Donald Trump. He shows how much he cares about social justice in the black community through his actions. And his action speaks louder than stickers or slogans on a jersey. He keeps right on fighting to improve the lives of black Americans.
His law and order message and his support of the war on drugs makes me question that.
And all Americans. He worked night and day.
Except when he's playing golf every other day, or when he's watching Fox News, or when he's stirring up a twit storm, or when he's pushing some conspiracy theories.
He never stops. He leaves nothing on the field. Some people don't like his style.
Yeah, those red power ties and MAGA hats. Ugh.
The way he knocks down obstacles that get in the way of his goal.
I think more accurately, he pretends those obstacles aren't there and just takes credit for someone else doing it for him.
People on the opposing team didn't like when I ran over them either. But that's how you get the job done. I pray every night that God gives him more time.
Prayer doesn't
Give
work.
him 4 more years. He has accomplished so much almost all by himself on a constant attack. But there's still more work to be done. If you love America and want to make it better,
I'll love it when it's worth loving, which is probably not within my
Donald
lifetime.
Trump is your president. He's my president, and I'm blessed to call him friend.
In the classic Jimmy Stewart film, It's a Wonderful Life, George Bailey is given a great gift, the chance to see what the world would be like without him. Tonight, Mr. President, we'd like to give you that same gift.
Either Hillary Clinton or someone like Ted Cruz would be president. Still a shit show either way.
Because without you, we'd all be living in Pottersville.
Trump only got in the political game relatively recently, so were we in Pottersville before? And if we were, then what's this America Great Again place if we were in Pottersville the whole time?
Sold out to a crooked Mr., or I should say, a crooked Mrs. Potter.
Yeah, I really don't follow. Skip.
You know, the Democrats love to talk about healthcare being a human right. But a right to what? Well, I'll tell you. To them, it's a right to marijuana, opioids, and the right to die with dignity. A politically correct way of saying assisted suicide.
I mean, yeah, it's your choice what you do to your own body, right?
I was told I was a burden to my family and to my country.
But aren't you?
And that by choosing to die early, I'd actually be saving the lives of others by preserving resources for them, rather than wasting them on a lost cause like myself.
You're saying the entire Democratic Party told you specifically that?
And when I failed the chemotherapies that were on the market, No one wanted me in their clinical trials. I'd make them look bad. They didn't give me the right to try experimental treatments, Mr. President. You did. And without you, I'd have died waiting for them to be approved.
And that progressives are pro-drug, I can't imagine anybody actually saying that to you. As for experimental subjects, usually it's conservatives who are blocking embryonic stem cell research and that sort of thing, and getting in the way of science that could potentially save billions of lives.
Now with the coronavirus, everyone knows what that feels like to be waiting for a cure.
Speaking of, without Donald Trump, many of the 175,000 dead Americans would not be dead, and millions more would still have health insurance.
But we've only been waiting a few months. Just imagine what 2020 would have looked like, fighting for your life, without Donald Trump fighting for it too.
For one, not so many people would be dead yet because, for one, Hillary would at least take the virus seriously from the start. Second of all, who's to say she wouldn't speed up the production of the vaccine either?
In January, there would have been no China travel ban.
Which was a symbolic political move that accomplished basically nothing.
Millions would have died.
Are you assuming Hillary would have done literally nothing?
Millions more would have been infected, for there'd be no record levels of testing.
Level of testing per capita in the United States is surprisingly low.
No right to try treatments, no fast track for a vaccine, nor Operation Warp Speed ready to deliver it.
Do you have some sort of alternate reality watch where you can actually see? I don't get it. How would you know any of this?
And without Donald Trump as our patient advocate for the past 4 years, well, the opioid epidemic would have stolen even more lives from even more families.
Drug ODs are actually 10% up from 2016.
Kidney patients would have no future except dying on wait lists, for there'd be no initiative to increase donations. There'd still be no accountability at the VA. And our brave veterans would still be suffering long wait times with no choice nor access to faster care. Insulin and other drug prices would have continued to rise.
They have continued to rise because the government is not allowed to negotiate drug prices with the companies for whatever reason.
Well, a record number of generic drugs would still be stuck in the pipeline. There'd be no price transparency.
I don't know about that. Healthcare equity is kind of a left-wing thing.
We wouldn't have health plans up to 60% cheaper than Obamacare.
Those are limited duration, limited coverage plans.
And we'd still be stuck with that infamous individual mandate.
Under Trump, over 1 million people lost their health insurance, and then coronavirus struck.
And God forbid what the next 4 years would look like. For in Joe Biden's America, China would control our drug production. We'd be one step closer to government-run healthcare.
Oh no! Free healthcare! Just think about the needy health insurance price gougers.
We wouldn't just be unable to keep our doctors, we'd be lucky if we could see any doctor.
Every other industrialized country has government-run healthcare, and many of them have shorter wait lines than those in America.
And even then, some of us would be denied care.
Yes, Biden's plan will only cover 97% of Americans. I am worried about that 3%, but it's much better than what we have currently.
For in socialized medicine, you don't beat the odds, you become the odds.
Don't know what you're talking about. 26,000 Americans die every year from lack of access to health care. In socialized medicine countries, that number is 0.
And I would lose my right to try, just like Charlie Gard, that terminally ill British baby whose government-run healthcare system decided it was too expensive and too cruel to keep him alive.
I mean, you can't be testing unproven drugs that may have weird side effects on babies that aren't willing to consent now, can you? Believe it or not, if we know that a baby's gonna suffer for the rest of their life because of some chronic disease, I think it's better off that we reduce the suffering early. Pro-life conservatives will often insist that we don't abort a baby even when we know it will have a serious mental or physical disability.
You see, Mr. President, you've done so much more than your promises made and promises kept. For numbers only tell part of the story. We are the rest of it. Facts with faces of Americans who would still be forgotten if you and our favorite First Lady hadn't given up your own wonderful life so we could have the chance at one.
Tell that to the 10 million Americans who have lost health insurance under Trump so far.
George Bailey's father was right. All you can take with you is that which you've given away.
What a stupid quote. Is this some weird karma bullshit?
And Mr. President, that makes you the richest man in the world.
First of all, that isn't true. Trump wouldn't willingly part with a dime. Second of all, if your logic was true, that would be a strong argument for a communist society where everybody just gave each other shit.
For you have used your strength to make America strong again. Sacrificed the life you built to make America proud again.
Wait, you think Trump's tax cuts haven't benefited himself in any way?
And you risked everything to make America safe again.
But instead, he just sent troops to invade his own country and take down civilians who were protesting peacefully.
It's a wonderful life.
Easy for you to say when you're not working 2 jobs only to earn starvation wages.
You made America great again. And on November 3rd, we are going to keep America great.
I will admit, the message of this speech is a little bit more unique than the ones that came before, but it's still bad.